Hey folks, Mark Levin here. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to talk about my go-to gold and silver company. Monetary Gold has over 25 years helping Americans understand physical gold and silver with an education-first, no-pressure approach and support for IRA-eligible options. Monetary Gold has a complimentary guide. It's free to help you understand precious metals. Call them right now, 877-NOW-GOLD, or visit marklovesgold.com and request the free guide. Make sure to ask for details. That's 877-NOW-GOLD, or visit marklovesgold.com. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax consultant. Now let's get to the show.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Welcome. At a time like this, it's very important that your choice for getting information, factual information, is carefully chosen. For instance, if you're stuck on the internet, the internet is a toxic pool of miscreants, malcontents, reprobates. And you really have to search hard for diamonds in the rough there. They exist. We have a wonderful couple of social sites, on Twitter and so forth. And I try to communicate as many people as I can during the day when I'm not on radio or TV or Liberty's Voice podcast, to present that information to you. I give my own opinions, and I have links where you can read some of the backup information or some of the articles I think are worthwhile or some of the individuals I think are worthwhile. But we also have America-hating propagandists, racists, bigots, Christian haters, Jew haters, a lot of bots, a lot of foreign citizens, and it's hard to know what's what. But after a while, you can figure it out. Our president will go down in history as one of the greatest of all. He certainly will. For a lot of reasons. But at the core of Donald Trump's beliefs is his love of this country. He will do anything to protect it, whether on the border, finances, a strong military, and foreign enemies. He's made NATO stronger. He's certainly made our border stronger. He's made our military stronger. He's brought patriotism back to the nation. And people who are Trump supporters feel very good when they go to bed at night knowing that he's president of the United States. And compare him to Biden, compare him to Obama, compare him to the other ones. There's no comparison. Now, as President of the United States, he's not an establishment Republican. He comes to this job with decades of entrepreneurship, his own experiences, his ability to analyze and draw conclusions. He's able to cut through all the red tape, all the static. He doesn't want to go to war, but then again, he will do what has to be done to protect the American people, who he loves. He's a patriot's patriot. And then we have another group of people who are ideologues. Some of them are Marxists. They want the destruction of the country. They come out of Europe. They come out of our colleges and universities. They're professors. They're graduate students and so forth. Then we have Islamists who've come to this country for the purpose of destroying it from within. Then we have 1930s Neo-Fascists, what I call the woke Reich, R-E-I-C-H, Reich, as in Third Reich. They sound like the Third Reich, but just like the Third Reich, they hate representative government. We believe in Make America Great Again. It was actually a phrase that was invented in 1984 by the Reagan campaign. Make America Great Again, MAGA. And in many ways, Donald Trump is similar to Reagan. I really cringe every time Lindsey Graham, who I'm friendly with, I like him, don't always agree with him, when he keeps saying this one's better than Reagan and Reagan and Reagan and Reagan plus and Reagan. He doesn't have to keep diminishing Reagan in order to promote Trump, who's his own man. Who's his own man. I mean, give Reagan his cred, too. He defeated the Soviet Union and liberated 250 million people, which nobody could do after World War II. We had this horrendous Cold War, but he did it. That doesn't diminish President Trump either. These are two great men, two great presidents. So I'm not into the cheap political lines about Reagan plus or Reagan this. Donald Trump, in his own skin, is a great president. And unfortunately, most of the time, great presidents aren't recognized until well after they're gone. Abraham Lincoln was not thought of a great president. He almost lost his second election. But he was a great president. And there were others, too. So, I want to point a few things out that are very, very important. And it's this. We have an enemy within. We have enemies within. The Marxists, the Islamists, and these Neo-Fascists. And they want you to believe that they're MAGA. Megyn Kelly wants you to believe she's MAGA. No, she's MAGAT. Quite different. She's horrendous. She is a chameleon. She's got more facelifts, I think, than Nancy Pelosi. But what do I know? All I know is she has that constipated look on her face constantly. And she's become, in my view, a real good Jew hater. That's what I hear. That's what I believe. You know, the funny thing is when you call Jew haters, they say, oh, you call everybody a Jew hater. No, I don't. I call Jew haters Jew haters. I call Christian haters Christian haters. I call Marxists Marxists, fascists fascists, constitutional conservatives constitutional conservatives. They hide behind semantics. But she has her head up Tucker Carlson's ass. 100%. She's trying to ride his podcast numbers. It's quite obvious. She's a big deal friend of Candace Owens. Tell me, how many of you are friends of a Jew hater, of a Christian basher, of a Trump basher, and on and on and on? I don't have friends like that. Do you, Mr. Producer? And why am I bringing this up now? I'll tell you why. Because they're trashing the president, they're trashing our military, and they're trashing our country as I speak. And the good-for-nothing media, the John Carls of ABC News, loathsome reprobates like that, are using them to go after Trump, to go after our military, to go after our alliance with Israel. And it's quite interesting, isn't it? The alliance now against Iran includes most of the Arab states. Qatar and Saudi Arabia. And so what's happening is Carlson, Kelly, and these lesser reprobates, but they're reprobates nonetheless, this little cabal, they're leaking to the media calling them up for interviews, and they're all trashing Trump. That he's a disgrace and that he's evil. That's Carlson. That he's a disgrace and he's evil. In the middle of military combat, a military campaign. Megyn Kelly's blaming the Jews. You know what? She is a dumb blonde, come to think of it. If she is a blonde, maybe she's not even a blonde. I don't much care. But dumber than a doorknob. Multiple facelifts to go with it. I'm sorry, I call them as I see them. We haven't heard much from Bloated Bannon. No. He's busy trying to distract from the Epstein tapes. But nonetheless, these are serious matters. The problem is, ladies and gentlemen, you could see it immediately. You've got a couple of these Islamists like, can't remember that, Senk Uger, is that his name? Him. What trash. Absolute pig. You got this guy, Mehdi Hassan. He should be denaturalized and deported. He is a vile American-hating, real POS. Our immigration system, to allow these people into the country, is so horrendous. And they all have one thing in common. Their hatred for America. They hate our Constitution. They hate our construct. They hate the founders. They lie with the Islamists. But here's the point. Carlson and his ilk having a really bad day. Because they're benefactors, or at least they're taskmasters. Qatar and Saudi Arabia have signed on with a whole bunch of Arab states condemning Iran, saying they are going to back the United States. So the United States and Israel and about 14 other countries, many of the Gulf Arab countries, are aligned against the Islamist Nazi regime in Tehran. And so what does Carlson do today on his podcast? He blames the Jews. And I'm thinking, now how the hell do you do that? He blames Trump. He blames Netanyahu. He blames me. Blames us. Blames us for what? What? See, he thinks Donald Trump is a stupid man. He has said it. They have texts of him saying it. He has cursed Donald Trump. He despises Donald Trump, but he wants to be seen with Donald Trump. He wants to be around Donald Trump because he wants to give the impression he has enormous influence. He has no influence. Zero. Tucker Carlson took the side of the enemy. Megyn Kelly took the side of the enemy. They've taken the side of the enemy against our military. Is this Make America Great Again? Is this peace through strength? And what is the imminent threat I keep hearing? What's the imminent threat? Why did we have to act now? I even see it on cable. I hear it from people who claim to be MAGA. Oh, this is a simple one. In a moment. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Some major U.S. banks are publishing aggressive gold scenarios for 2026, some as high as about $6,300 an ounce. While nothing about the future is guaranteed, the market has already moved faster than many expected. Meanwhile, central banks have been accumulating gold, and some estimates show that gold holdings now exceeding U.S. Treasury holdings, signaling gold's long-term confidence. Monetary gold has over 25 years helping Americans understand physical gold and silver. With an education-first, no-pressure approach and support for IRA-eligible options, Monetary Gold has a complimentary guide to help you understand precious metals. Call them right now, 877-NOW-GOLD, or visit marklovesgold.com. Request the free guide. Make sure to ask for details. That's 877-NOW-GOLD, or visit marklovesgold.com. marklovesgold.com. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. National Security Strategy Report, mandated by Congress, submitted by the President to outline the administration's national security vision, including foreign policy, defense capabilities, and global interests. It's an annual threat assessment. Every single one of those reports since 1979 has had a major focus, not exclusively, but significantly, on Iran. And so when I hear members of Congress say, what's the imminent threat? Do they not read this report? Do they not know? But even more, when I hear these neo-fascist isolationists, or when I hear people who know better pretending, what's the imminent threat? We've been living the imminent threat. They killed our Marines. They killed citizens at 2 of our embassies. They've killed infantry. They've maimed thousands of Americans. What's the imminent threat? They've told us what they want to do. The endless pursuit of nuclear weapons and ICBMs. What's the imminent threat? Those media types and politicians who pretend they don't know what threat the Iranian regime has posed to America are either liars or morons. For 47 years, that regime has threatened to destroy us, has been at war with scores of acts of terrorism, has been developing nuclear and ICBM technology, and has stated repeatedly and openly their intention to use these weapons against us. Every president of both parties has said so in these reports to Congress. Every president in both parties since 1979 has had to deal with it. All of them inadequately until Donald Trump. It has been a major concern of every defense secretary, every CIA director, every secretary of state. It's been reported in every form of media. And to sit here and say, what's the imminent threat? Now, think how stupid that is. What they seem to be suggesting is, unless we're attacked, there is no imminent threat. Or unless we're on the precipice of being attacked, there is no imminent threat. So we should wait. Think about this. We should wait until they have nuclear warheads and ICBMs. It ought to be hands off, because obviously they don't negotiate in good faith. Obviously, you can give them billions and billions and billions of dollars, and they still will proceed just like the North Koreans did. And so we should wait until they have nuclear warheads, ICBMs that can reach our country, and then maybe it's an imminent threat. Now, let me ask you, are you suicidal? You want to take your family with you? You want to take the whole country with you? The president's decision was the only rational decision there is. Seriously, listen to what these carnival barkers are saying. Listen to it. They're morons. I'll be right back. Some major U.S. banks are publishing aggressive gold scenarios for 2026, some as high as about $6,300 an ounce. While nothing about the future is guaranteed, the market has already moved faster than many expected. Meanwhile, central banks have been accumulating gold, and some estimates show that gold holdings now exceeding U.S. Treasury holdings, signaling gold's long-term confidence. Monetary gold has over 25 years helping Americans understand physical gold and silver. With an education-first, no-pressure approach and support for IRA-eligible options. Monetary Gold has a complimentary guide to help you understand precious metals. Call them right now, 877-NOW-GOLD, or visit marklovesgold.com. Request the free guide. Make sure to ask for details. That's 877-NOW-GOLD, or visit marklovesgold.com. marklovesgold.com. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
This is the home of America's founding. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
How about this question? Well, are we just trying to take out their ballistic missiles and nuclear capabilities, or are we seeking regime change? You see, some people, many of whom are new to broadcasting or new to actually substantive issues, other than calling balls and strikes and catching footballs, this is very confounding. What is our mission? First of all, the president said what the mission is. It's to take out the regime. He already said that. But they don't want to hear it. It's very different if we're just taking out their missiles and so forth and taking out the regime. Okay, what's the difference? What's the difference? So you take out their missiles. Now, first of all, are they going to sit there and let you take out their missiles if you're not trying to take out the regime? I think we kind of learned that lesson in June. No, they're not. They're going to keep at it and keep at it and keep at it. That's number one. Number two, you're dealing with an enemy here that says it's the enemy, that says it wants to take us out, and says you're not going to stop them from enriching uranium, and you're not going to stop them from having a nuclear warhead, and you're not going to stop them from having ICBMs that can reach this country. And by the way, we're going to build all kinds of ballistic missiles, and what the hell are you going to do about it? And so the naive or the purposely stupid, they say things like, well, what is it? Are we taking out the missiles, or are we taking out the regime? What is it? It's like a guy holding a rifle up. What is it? You taking out the rifle, or you taking out the guy? It's one and the same damn thing under circumstances like this. That they think they're clever because they want to give a nod to the Neo-Fascist Isolationists. They want to pretend this is what MAGA stands for. MAGA stands for suicide. MAGA stands for what? They don't even know. They don't even know. And so they posture. And they look stupid. Now, I don't listen to the Carlsons and the Kellys. I don't want to get dumb. Really dumb, listening to these buffoons. What am I going to learn from Megyn Kelly? What does she know? She knows nothing. Zero. She's done very little with her life except get fired. What about Carlson? What are you going to learn from him? He's had more positions, as I've said, than a happy hooker. But he's finally settled on one that apparently makes him rich. What are you going to learn? You're going to learn nothing. Conspiracy theories, rewriting of the World War II, where Churchill's the bad guy and Hitler's the good guy, that the Jews are in charge of everything. We've all heard that crap before from the pigs of our society. 100 years later, same damn thing. Now, the Levin haters on the internet, and the Levin haters among these these podcasters, can we stop calling them influencers? What influence do they have? What influence do they have? President of the United States has attacked Iran's nuclear, sites in June. President of the United States says that's not doing it. We can't just take out the missiles, right? Right, isolationists? Because they keep building them. Imagine that. So we have to take out the regime in our own national defense. It's very complicated for the isolation. It's not. But they're ideologues, as much ideologues as the Marxists and the Islamists. They're ideologues. They're Neo-Fascists. It's what they are. Woke Reich, R-E-I-C-H. And I got to call them out as much as I call the other totalitarians out. But when they say, I don't know why we're doing this. I don't know what this is all about. Yes, they do. The problem is they have an ideology, or they have a bigotry, or they have both. And they're going to stick to their ideology. They're going to stick to their bigotry no matter what. It doesn't matter who the enemy is. It doesn't matter what they're doing. It doesn't matter if they get these weapons that can blow us off the face of the earth. It doesn't matter. That's their ideology. That's their bigotry. Well, don't drag us down your crap hole, the whole damn country. Don't do that. Donald Trump's not one of them. You're not one of them. You know an enemy when you see one. You know a danger when you see one, whether in your own life or for our country. You don't take chances with these suicidal maniacs getting nuclear weapons. You just don't do it. You just don't do it. The problem with Tucker today and Kelly and the rest of the reprobates is this. Nobody's standing with them. Nobody. Qatar is standing with the United States in its battle against Iran, which means they're literally standing with the United States and Israel. They'll never admit it, but they are. Saudi Arabia is standing with the United States. They are literally standing with the United States and Israel. They'll never say that. Almost all the Arab countries within missile range of Iran are now standing with us. So what happens to a Tucker Carlson who's made it very well known that he's a Qatari? It's Qatari first. What happens to a Steve Bannon who was in love with that regime over there? He said, leave it alone. Leave it alone. Don't let the Jews drag us into this war. But now Qatar is with the Jews. Their whole world is crumbling. Their whole reason for existence is crumbling. The whole basis of their podcasts don't even make any sense anymore. They've been in hiding pretty much. So what do? These are dark days for them. They're desperate to hang on to those of you who are foolish enough to watch them. What shall they do? Well, they fall back on the old bromides because they don't have any choice. There's nothing left for them to do. And so there it is. Carlson, who's probably one of the dumbest people to ever go to private school. Probably one of the dumbest people ever born into wealth. You know, the Swanson frozen food family. He's had all the opportunities in the world, and he's still a mental patient. With the demons and the UFOs and the conspiracies. Really sick. But here's the point. They're stabbing the president in the back. They're undermining our military. They pretend to be America first. I've told you this for years. They're not America first. They're America last. They've thrown in with the Marxists and the Islamists. And yet even some of the Islamists have thrown in with us because of their own desire to survive. Their own desire to survive. So why does Qatar now want to take out the regime in Iran? but Tucker Carlson doesn't? Why does Saudi Arabia now want to take out the regime in Iran, but Tucker Carlson doesn't? Why even the quisling leaders of France and Germany and Britain, to one degree or another, why do they finally realize there's a problem and that we support the United States? Why is it that the only people who don't support our president, the United States military, and our country are the terrorists and Democrats and Tucker Carlson and his ilk? Why is that? So he came up with something today. This is Israel's war. And Benjamin Netanyahu and yours truly, Mark Levin, talked the president into going to war. So they can't figure this out. They do shows saying, he's an old man. I'm 68, but now they think that's an old man for all you folks who are 68 or 60 or whatever. And by the way, they're in their 50s. It's, oh, he's an old man. And of course, Megyn Kelly is called a grandma groper. She should be called a grandma groper. Isn't this fascinating? It's amazing. That's why I'm walking you through this. So he's a boomer with no audience, who's ineffective, who's old. But he's got incredible power, this Jew. This old Jew has an unbelievable power. What is it? He forced Donald Trump into a war. You see how sick these bastards are? You see how crazy they are? Carlson was over at the White House multiple times. He wants to be seen. He wants you to believe he's an influence. You got ABC News' John Carl, who's trying to breathe life into his basically dead career. Oh, I know he's got a lot of podcast followers, many of them bots, many of them Islamists from Pakistan, whatever they are. Doesn't matter to me. It's a big country with 350 million people. He's a pimple in an elephant's ass. That's the bottom line. Soon to be a pimple on a chihuahua's ass. He's got nothing. Nothing. So Jonathan Karl on ABC News said, we got to breathe life into this guy. We need to use him as a foil to take out Trump and to win the midterm elections. That's what they're doing now. And so now you and I are said to be represented by these reprobates. They're MAGA. How is Megyn Kelly MAGA? Wasn't she the one where the president said she's bleeding out of her eyes or something? What did he say? I don't even remember. Was it her? I don't know. She recovered from that. Now she pretends to support him. Big pretender. And every chance he gets, Carlson stabs our president in the back. Every chance he gets. He leaks to reporters left and right. That's why they want to continue to use him. To use him against MAGA. To use him against the president. To use him against our allies. They need him. He's a useful idiot. Not to us, to them. And so, you woke up this morning, you read the news, and there he is, trashing the President of the United States. Openly. Openly. And of course, Netanyahu and I are responsible for the whole thing. This is the nature of bigotry. This is also the nature of somebody with a negative IQ who's had a head injury or something. All the money his parents poured into trying to educate this guy. All the money they poured into him. A trust fund baby who claims to be the regular man. He's irregular in every respect. Regular man. And so now they're undermining our troops in the middle of a military campaign against a truly evil enemy that wants to blow you and your family and this country off the face of the earth. It's incredible. It's demented. For you patriotic Americans, you red-blooded Americans, I understand this is upsetting. But what's important to understand is he has no clout. He's desperately now seeking attention. His media friends, both the radical left typical media that hate you and me, as well as the neo-fascist media, they're doing everything they can to prop this guy up. There's nothing to prop up. It's over. But he'll keep pretending that he's a power. I greatly fear we're going to lose the midterm elections because of Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Steve Bannon, some little SS type, Smith, his name is, Marjorie Trader Greene, Thomas Massey, radical libertarian, Rand Paul, all of these sort of bizarros, freak show, the reptile house at the zoo. That's what we're dealing with here. But the media are using them to try and undermine our president and our military. And they'd love nothing more than for us to lose this military campaign against the enemy. So they can say, I told you so, and they hope some more subscriptions. That's how vile and sick these people are, truly. We have 6 service people who've died so far. It's horrendous. And all they say, see, we told you, we didn't kill them, the enemy killed them. And if the enemy gets a chance, it'll kill 1,000 more of them. Even if we're not at war with them, because that's exactly what they've done. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Some major U.S. banks are publishing aggressive gold scenarios for 2026, some as high as about $6,300 an ounce. While nothing about the future is guaranteed, the market has already moved faster than many expected. Meanwhile, central banks have been accumulating gold, and some estimates show that gold holdings now exceeding U.S. Treasury holdings, signaling gold's long-term confidence. Monetary gold has over 25 years helping Americans understand physical gold and silver. With an education-first, no-pressure approach and support for IRA-eligible options. Monetary Gold has a complimentary guide to help you understand precious metals. Call them right now, 877-NOW-GOLD, or visit marklovesgold.com. Request the free guide. Make sure to ask for details. That's 877-NOW-GOLD, or visit marklovesgold.com. marklovesgold.com. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. Now, what's so magic about this phrase, imminent threat, anyway? The Democrats started it. The Neo-Fascists picked it up. The media picked it up. It wasn't an imminent threat. No, it is, and it was. But putting that aside, why does that matter? Because they're trying to twist the 1973 War Powers Act, which I've argued all along is unconstitutional, as a matter of fact. But let's play along. They're trying to twist it, you see. That he had to come to Congress because the threat wasn't imminent. Ladies and gentlemen, they're actually following the War Powers Act. They briefed the relevant members of Congress, which the act requires. Now they're briefing the entire Congress. He has a 60-day period of time, the president does, to act without Congress trying to put handcuffs on him. So I don't even know what they're whining about, but they don't know what they're whining about either. It just doesn't matter. Anything. They want us to lose, the Democrats, because they think you'll vote for them. And these other fools and frauds on the internet, they want us to lose too. Don't they sound like it? Yeah, they sound like it to me. We'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's is here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Boy, I'll tell you what, folks, all over the internet, Carlson and Kelly and those people, they're getting slammed. They really are, because it's embarrassing. And we Americans are patriotic. Our affiliates are owned by patriotic companies and individuals. I want to hear this stuff about attacking our armed forces, attacking our president like this. It's just awful. It's horrible. I want you to check out Liberty's Voice video podcast after our radio program, if you will. You can check it out at Rumble by following me. You can check it out at YouTube by subscribing, but it's all free. I don't charge a penny. Liberty's Voice on Rumble and YouTube. In part, here's what I say today. Cut one, go. It's time for we, the people, to stand up and be heard. It's time for we, the people, to show that we are united. It's time for we, the people, to back our military in the middle of a major military campaign trying to destroy an enemy that seeks to blow us off the face of the earth. Khomeini dead in 15 hours of the campaign beginning. 40 of their top Islamo-Nazis dead, taken out within 24 hours. The skies are wide open. Their navy's been all but destroyed. The world is coalescing and uniting behind us. Even the Arab nations, even the Islamist Arab nations. The only people who are not backing the president in what we are doing, our military. The Democrats, the Marxists, the Islamists, Tucker Carlson, and his cabal, woke Reich. Cut two, go. You know, ladies and gentlemen, we have a commander-in-chief in the United States military working side by side with the Prime Minister of Israel and the IDF to destroy the devil, to destroy an individual and a regime that has killed over 1,000 Americans, maimed thousands and thousands of Americans, that has used terrorism to attack us, that has blown up buildings, blown up our embassies, killed over 250 of our Marines, and on and on and on. And finally, we have a commander-in-chief who said enough is enough. Our fantastic military, our great allies, and we're at war here at home with the radical leftists, the Democrat Party, the media, and these neo-fascist traitors, these isolationists. They're all working together as a cabal to try and destroy this effort, this campaign, righteous and noble, from within, trying to dispirit the American people, trying to create disunity, undermine our armed forces, who are in harm's way. Now, we have to speak out and speak up. And lastly, cut three, go. The media support the enemy. They always do. The media supported Hamas against Israel. The media now support the Islamist Nazi regime, such as what's left of it, in Iran against we the people. Now, they'll deny it. Who cares if they deny it? You know what's amazing? Our early victories have been so monumental, taking out Khomeini, taking out 40 of his top leaders. So monumental that today, Monday, the enemy within is desperate. They're panicked, and they're now doing everything humanly possible, using media platforms, using betrayers and traitors, neo-fascists, who claim to be MAGA, who claim to represent you and me, to try and destroy this military campaign. Now, let's get right down to it. The fact of the matter is, so successful is this campaign that we're now being joined by the Quislings in France, in Britain, and the rest of Europe. So successful is this campaign. You know who's endorsing this effort? and likely joining this effort, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and a half a dozen other Arab countries, even adversaries. The world is rallying around the United States of America because of our president, because of our military, because of our victories. We should be proud, ladies and gentlemen, I'm live now, of our president, of our heroes in the military. We should be proud of the effectiveness of our military. It's been spectacular. We should be proud of our alliance with Israel and their incredible prime minister and how we're working hand in glove. I don't think there's ever been an alliance like this before, certainly not in the Middle East. And their military is exceptional, exceptional. We should be thrilled that as I speak to you tonight, so many of the Arab nations in that part of the world, at first against this effort, then neutral on the effort, now support the United States of America. To do what? To eliminate the regime in Tehran. 14 additional countries. We should be thrilled that France has now decided to send their nuclear carrier, the De Gaulle. Germany and is supportive. Britain barely, but they're now allowing us to use the air bases there. The world supports what we're doing, the vast majority of it. The communist Chinese don't, because this hampers them significantly. They were getting cheap oil from Iran. That won't happen anymore. They were getting cheap oil from Venezuela. That's not happening anymore. So they don't know exactly how they're going to fuel their fleets. This is hugely important geopolitically and militarily. Hugely important. The Russians have been relying on drones manufactured by the Iranian regime. Imagine the amount of death that will be reduced in that war against the Ukrainians by that act alone. This changes everything. And the fact of the matter is, the regime will no longer be able to fund terrorism against us. Does it not matter that they've killed about 1,000 of our military personnel and maimed thousands more? Does it not matter that they've killed hundreds of our fellow citizens? Does it not matter that they've tried to assassinate our president twice? And they ask, what does imminent mean? Is it imminent? No, we'll wait around and see. Like with North Korea, that now has 50 nuclear weapons and 6 to 7 more every single year. Is that an imminent threat? But here we have an instance where the people rose up. 90% of the Persians, the citizens of Iran, want to rid themselves of that government, and they've died trying to do so. We are in alliance with the people of Iran. Now, the fact that Qatar, the number one or number two with Iran funder of terrorism, the fact that Qatar, which was as close to Iran as Megyn Kelly is to Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, I mean tight, has now turned on them. That's what happens when you have great leadership in Washington and Jerusalem. That's what happens. That's right. Were the Qataris dragged into this war by me and Netanyahu? Were the Saudis dragged into this war by me and Netanyahu? England, France, Germany, 10 other Arab states? Were they dragged into this war by Netanyahu and me? How sick is this? How stupid is this? The reason I am hated by these people, and I mean really, really hated, is because I'm the first to take them on and the first to expose them. And now it's an avalanche of criticism, an avalanche of research done on who these individuals really are. They're the enemies of the country. That's what they are. If you can't support our commander-in-chief and our military at a time like this. And your words are spoken, and they are so toxic that the Iranian regime on its last legs are using your words, Tucker Carlson, on their state-run TV. Using your words against our country and our president. The Muslim Brotherhood tonight using Tucker Carlson's words against we, the people of the United States, and our military. Is there anything as cancerous than that? I ask you. Is there? Patriotic Americans, Mr. and Mrs. America, red-blooded Americans. What do you make of this? And I spent a lot of time on this show and on Liberty's Voice, today's program on YouTube and Rumble. Here's the President of the United States, a tremendous patriot, a tremendous president. At the White House today, cut 4, go.
Let me provide a brief update on Operation Epic Fury. Today, the United States military continues to carry out large-scale combat operations in Iran to eliminate the grave threats posed to America by this terrible terrorist regime. Following our obliteration of Iran's nuclear program in Operation Midnight Hammer a short while ago, we warned Iran not to make any attempt to rebuild at a different location because they were unable to use the ones that we so powerfully blew up. But they ignored those warnings and refused to cease their pursuit of nuclear weapons. In addition, the regime's conventional ballistic missile program was growing rapidly and dramatically, and this posed a very clear, colossal threat to America and our forces stationed overseas. The regime already had missiles capable of hitting Europe and our bases, both local and overseas, and would soon have had missiles capable of reaching our beautiful America. The purpose of this fast-growing missile program was to shield their nuclear weapon development and make it extraordinarily difficult for anyone to stop them from making these highly forbidden by us nuclear weapons. We were the ones that were complaining. We were the ones that wanted it stopped, but everybody was behind us. They just didn't have the courage to say so.
I want to skip the cut 6 now, Mr. Producer. Go.
Our objectives are clear. First, we're destroying Iran's missile capabilities, and you see that happening on an hourly basis, and their capacity to produce brand new ones, and pretty good ones they make. Second, we're annihilating their navy. We've knocked out already 10 ships. They're at the bottom of the sea. Third, we're ensuring that the world's #1 sponsor of terror can never obtain a nuclear weapon, never going to have a nuclear weapon. I said that from the beginning. They're never going to have a nuclear weapon. They were on the road to getting one legitimately through a deal that was signed foolishly by our country. And finally, we're ensuring that the Iranian regime cannot continue to arm, fund, and direct terrorist armies outside of their borders. And we thought we had a deal, but then they backed out, and they came back, and we thought we had a deal, and they backed out. I said, you can't deal with these people. You got to do it the right way.
And the president tried and tried and tried diplomacy, tried negotiation, and it didn't work. It wasn't a head fake. It wasn't a strategy to attack. He wanted a deal. They did not. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
It's time for a little spring cleaning, and I know where to start. Go drag your old, dated wireless contract out of the closet and beat it with a broom. Then freshen things up by switching to Pure Talk, my wireless company that gives you unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data, just $25 a month, with no contract, no cancellation fees, and no overseas customer service if you ever need help. I'm guessing you're going to like them as much as my listener Paul from Greer, South Carolina. He says, I finally listened to Mark Levin's advice and switched from Verizon. I'm getting the very same service for less than half of what I was paying Verizon. You know, I long wondered if these much lower services could provide the same level of service as the big boys. Now I know that Pure Talk certainly can. Thank you, Paul. Now it's time for you folks to make the switch, too. Go to puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin, and you'll save 50% off your first month. That's puretalk.com/Levin, and switch to a wireless company that shares your values. Pure Talk, America's wireless company. President Trump again today. Cut 7, go.
Today, we grieve for the 4 heroic American service members who have been killed in action and send our love and support to their families. In their memory, we continue this mission with ferocious, unyielding resolve to crush the threat this terrorist regime poses to the American people, and a threat indeed it is. We have the strongest and most powerful by far military in the world, and we will easily prevail. We're already substantially ahead of our time projections, but whatever the time is, it's okay. Whatever it takes, we will always, and we have right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks, but we have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it. Whatever somebody said today, they said, oh, well, if the president wants to do it really quickly, after that he'll get bored. I don't get bored. There's nothing boring about this. Do you agree with that, Pete? I don't think there's anything, Mr. General. I think there's nothing boring about it. Somebody actually said from the media, I think he'll get bored after about a week or two. No, we don't get bored. I never get bored. If I got bored, I wouldn't be standing here right now. I guarantee you that, to go through what I had to go through.
Mm-hmm. He is absolutely remarkable. Energy, smart as hell, really is. And you know, we have a great Secretary of State and a great Secretary of War. And Pete Hegseth has proven himself over and over and over again, which is why they tried to take him out. He's got energy, he's got ideas, he's got courage, he's got experience, not as a bureaucrat, as a trooper. And he had a hell of a press conference today. Let's listen in on a little bit of it. Cut 8, go.
We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we are finishing it.
Now, does everyone hear that? The President, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, the CIA Director, everybody understands. We didn't start this war. They've been at war with us for half a century. They've killed our people. We are finally defending ourselves, and enough is enough. In June, the Israelis took out most of their military. We took out their nuclear sites, and they go right back at it with the help of the communist Chinese and the Russians. Excuse me, cholera. You know. But we have an enemy within. We all know that. We have an enemy within. Go ahead.
Americans has become our retribution against their Ayatollah and his death cult. It took the 47th president, a fighter who always puts America first, to finally draw the line after 47 years of Iranian belligerence. He reminded the world, as he has time and time again, being an American means something unbreakable. If you kill Americans, if you threaten Americans anywhere on earth, we will hunt you down without apology and without hesitation, and we will kill you.
There you go. That's the Trump doctrine. Does he sound like somebody who can be forced into a war by Mark Levin and Benjamin Netanyahu? Really? Megyn, I think that Botox You missed your lips and you hit your brain. I'll be right back. It's time for a little spring cleaning, and I know where to start. Go drag your old, dated wireless contract out of the closet and beat it with a broom. Then freshen things up by switching to Pure Talk, my wireless company that gives you unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data, just $25 a month, with no contract, no cancellation fees, and no overseas customer service if you ever need help. I'm guessing you're going to like them as much as my listener Paul from Greer, South Carolina. He says, I finally listened to Mark Levin's advice and switched from Verizon. I'm getting the very same service for less than half of what I was paying Verizon. You know, I long wondered if these much lower services could provide the same level of service as the big boys. Now I know that Pure Talk certainly can. Thank you, Paul. Now it's time for you folks to make the switch, too. Go to puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin, and you'll save 50% off your first month. That's puretalk.com/Levin, and switch to a wireless company that shares your values. Pure Talk, America's wireless company.
Mark Levin, America's Paul Revere. Call him now at 877-381-3811.
This came out of Iran, a message from inside Iran to a friend of mine from a friend of his. Nobody can connect to the internet. I got through with extreme difficulty to give this message. We are under heavy bombing, but do not push for a war pause. This must go on, even if we die. Tell Trump, no negotiation, no war pause, no reforms, regime change only. These are remarkable people. The Persian people are a remarkable people. They are a brave people. And we have people in this country who claim to be MAGA, who are not MAGA. M-A-G-A, they're M-A-G-O-T-S. These are brave people. They want to be free. They've had enough. Many of them have family members who've been slaughtered. My wife and my mother-in-law last night, we went to dinner at a restaurant, and I won't tell you which one, but nonetheless. It's owned by an Iranian-American couple who had to flee Iran. We didn't even know they were Iranians. And they are the sweetest people. And by the way, they make unbelievable food. The food is just killer. They were telling us a story, the husband, about how their family had to escape Iran. It's like a movie, a frightening movie. How they lost everything. How they would have been shot on the spot. I fear people have become insensitive to this. Insensitive to it. I fear they have. But President Trump has not. He is sensitive to it. And just because you have cold-blooded, narcissistic, self-aggrandizing individuals, some with microphones, some with television cameras, but all of them with a lot of makeup, phonies, frauds, and fakes, who pretend to be pro-American, who pretend to be patriots. Nothing of the sort. Nothing. Zero. And they're all over the damn place. But here's the truth. There's more of us. Red-blooded Yanks. There's more of us than them. More of us than them. Pete Hegseth. We're lucky to have this man as the Secretary of Defense. They almost stopped him. And we have Marco Rubio, tremendous Secretary of State. Fantastic. He's on Capitol Hill today. Cut 12, go.
Again, I'm not going to give away the details of our tactical efforts, but the hardest hits are yet to come from the U.S. military. The next phase will be even more punishing on Iran than it is right now. Someone was screaming, how long will it take? I don't know how long it'll take. We have objectives. We will do this as long as it takes to achieve those objectives, and we will achieve those objectives. The world will be a safer place when we're done with this operation.
Mm-hmm. Tell us the specifics. Where are you going to hit? What kind of munitions are you... You know, they're stupid. Very stupid. Benjamin Netanyahu with reporters today. He says even though this regime is going to go down, it still keeps targeting civilians. Civilians. That's the number one target. And by the way, civilians in Israel, civilians in Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Jordan, Oman, the UAE, they've all been hit. All of them. Airports, hotels. Netanyahu with reporters. Cut 11, go.
This is the third day of the Operation Roaring Lion, the operation the Israeli army and the state of Israel set out to, with our great friends, the United States of America and President Trump, to thwart existential threats to Israel and great threats to America and the entire world. When I stand here in a place that was bombarded by the terrorists in Tehran against innocent civilians, you see the difference. The tyrants of Tehran target civilians. We target the tyrants of Tehran to protect civilians. I've said for many years that they threaten not only Israel and not only America, they chant death to Israel, death to America. That's their ultimate target. But I said that they would also target those in between, that they would target Europe. They did. And if this regime, this terrorist regime of the kind we've never seen in the world, if they get nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them, ballistic missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles, they will threaten all of humanity. So we set out to protect ourselves, but in so doing, we protect many others. And I want to say special thanks to our great friend and a great leader of the world, Donald Trump, for joining us in this crucial effort to save the world.
Mm-hmm. Now, these people of which I've spoken, who are among us, who become very wealthy, they're not influencers because they don't influence anybody. They're hustlers. This is why they hate Netanyahu and Trump. They have to be careful with how they criticize Trump because they know that they will lose a significant number in their audience. But they hate him. They came out of the woods today, came out of the closet, made it clear, and then they'll go back in and pretend otherwise. They stab him in the back, behind the scenes, and constantly. Then they want pictures with him. They can proudly say, look at this. But the truth is, they have no influence with him. None. Zero. Because they're nuts, that's why. So they stab the president in the back. They're openly anti-Semitic and vicious to Netanyahu. But what do you expect? They hate Winston Churchill. They trash Winston Churchill. What do you expect? They trash the old policies of Ronald Reagan, who destroyed the Soviet Union and freed 250 million people behind the Iron Curtain. Eastern Europe, most of those countries are our strongest allies now. They don't care. Reagan, who took on communists in our hemisphere and won. Communists that were spreading in Africa like Angola and fought them. And of course, as I said, brought down the Soviet Union. Whatever. And our great president today, and again, I wish Lindsey Graham would stop diminishing Reagan. You know, I was taught as a kid by my mother and father, you don't have to tear somebody else down in order to build somebody else up, Lindsey. I think he's been very good on this issue. Top notch, very courageous out there. I just don't like the propaganda. I stand with President Trump. I'm second to none in supporting him. And there's no need to do that. None. And Trump is his own man. He doesn't need to be compared to anybody else. He's a standout all by himself. I just think it takes away from the whole argument when you feel you need to do something like that, because you don't. Because you don't. Two tremendous presidents. But these people who attack Trump now, some corners we expect, but the stabbing in the back, I don't know who controls the White House. I don't know how this guy, Carlson, gets into the White House. I think I do. But they ought to put an end to that. Especially after today. Here's Fetterman on CNN yesterday, cut 14, go.
Now, have people ever read the War Powers Act? You know, what's required of the president is to provide 48 hours of notification, and then he or she have 60 days, up to 90 days, to withdraw those troops, you know, before Congress approves that. Neither of those have been activated. He did provide that to the Gang of Eight, and there are no American troops on the ground now. This was an incredibly precise and successful strikes, and they eliminated most of the leadership. So here we are. So yes, I do support that. You know, why can't the entire world celebrate that he's dead for what he's done to the world?
Exactly. 100%. And why are podcasters some of the dumbest people on the face of the earth? I don't understand this. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
It's time for a little spring cleaning, and I know where to start. Go drag your old, dated wireless contract out of the closet and beat it with a broom. Then freshen things up by switching to Pure Talk, my wireless company that gives you unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data, just $25 a month, with no contract, no cancellation fees, and no overseas customer service if you ever need help. I'm guessing you're going to like them as much as my listener Paul from Greer, South Carolina. He says, I finally listened to Mark Levin's advice and switched from Verizon. I'm getting the very same service for less than half of what I was paying Verizon. You know, I long wondered if these much lower services could provide the same level of service as the big boys. Now I know that Pure Talk certainly can. Thank you, Paul. Now it's time for you folks to make the switch, too. Go to puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin, and you'll save 50% off your first month. That's puretalk.com/Levin, and switch to a wireless company that shares your values. Pure Talk, America's wireless company. This is your host who has these tremendous powers, Mr. Producer. We don't want to hear about influencers, plural, anymore. I am the influencer, according to my enemies. I am responsible, says Botox Jane Kelly, for getting us into this war. You have to really be sick to think that your audience is going to believe your crap. Then we get the other one, the demon. Netanyahu and Levin. Oh, okay. Not Trump, not Rubio, not Hegseth. Me and Netanyahu. I don't even know the last time I spoke to the Prime Minister. It would be when I interviewed him on TV. How long ago was that? It's a long time ago, isn't it? Last summer, maybe? Last summer? In front of all you folks in my interview. No, that's not true. December, maybe? And I was invited down to Florida. Mar-a-Lago. But again, nothing to do with this stuff. But nonetheless, what if it did? But the idea is so preposterous. Here is General David Petraeus. And also he's the former CIA director. He was on Fox News yesterday. What did he think Or what does he think about what was taking place with Iran and so forth? He was a great general. Cut 15, go.
So a really massive effort. You use that word and it is exactly correct. But in that, clearly, a lot of this was led by intelligence, precise intelligence, and a degree of stunning arrogance on the part of the Iranians, who I assume said, well, gee, they didn't attack when they normally do in the early hours of the morning, so we have today, we can get together and meet, which is how the intelligence developed that enabled the killing of the supreme leader and some dozens of others who were meeting with him, and then a number of other leaders of the various security forces of Iran, and then also going after any of the remaining air and ballistic missile defenses, then the retaliatory means, the most significant of which are the longer range missiles, and over time, I'm sure, going to continue to go after other elements of the security forces, their headquarters, and the shorter range retaliatory measures as well, which can hit the bases in the Gulf, and actually have hit, I think, a really foolish move by the Iranians was to hit the Arab countries in the Gulf who really had wanted to stay out of this, but now are in it because of strikes against civilian targets in their countries, the Gulf states. And now their aircraft are already flying as part of the overall defensive effort, and we'll see if there is a decision about us using their bases again, which they had initially denied because they had wanted to stay on the sidelines.
Ooh. That's amazing. I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 1-877-381-3811. Folks, don't forget, I think it's a very, very important episode number 7, lucky number 7 of Liberty's Voice. You can get it on YouTube. Subscribe there. You can get it on Rumble. Follow there. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. And I think it's a very, very important program. I'm really getting into some, I don't even know how to put this, some scraps, if you will, some a little bit of rumble, if you will, but always substantive. Every now and then I'm going to have to break from, straight history and philosophy and economics and get into some of this other stuff. Now, that's the nature of the beast. I don't think you'd want it any other way. But it's done completely differently than radio or TV. And again, these are really important puzzle pieces that I put together because I want us to build a juggernaut on the video podcast, continue to expand radio and TV in the lead up to the midterm elections. We're going to have to address and overcome some of these individuals I mentioned, which is exactly why I'm doing it. I know it sounds personal. It's not personal for me. I just have to go down to their level. If they do the name calling, and you might say, well, why do you have to do that? Because unfortunately, having dealt with people like this my entire career, I can't be George Will while they're, they're Bannon, as an example. Plus, I've got to be me. Who sang that song? Ethel Merman? I don't know. Somebody sang that. Anyway, I got to be me. So when I'm dealing with really intelligent people, that part of my brain kicks in. When I'm dealing with the swine of the earth, that part of my brain says, you really shouldn't do this, but you're going to have to get down and dirty with them. What'd you say, Rich? Sammy Davis Jr. Yes. But there were others, too, I thought. Maybe not. I want to tell you what's going on in our country, Mr. and Mrs. America, while you were working today. While you're making this country work, paying your taxes. Ali Akbar Shadid. It almost sounds like a cartoon character, doesn't it, Mr. Producer? Ali Akbar Shadid. Or she didn't. No, she did. Ali Akbar Shadid at Dearbornistan Henry Ford Community College. Now listen to this. The Dearborn Henry Ford Community College professor. Dearborn is ground zero for the radical Islamist movement in this country. When our friends at Memory wrote about that in the Wall Street Journal, they were attacked. They were 100% correct. Dearborn, Michigan. Plano, rise I speak, is being conquered. Somebody was telling me there's all kinds of mosques being built there now and all kinds of donors to the governor's office. What the hell is that all about? I don't know if it's accurate or not. But these mosques and these Muslim community centers are popping up everywhere. There's an enormous amount of money behind this. Right, Qatar? Right, Saudi Arabia? Among others. Enormous amounts of money. So here's Ali Akbar Shadid, the Dearborn Henry Ford Community College professor. Yesterday, Trump made a huge mistake by killing our leader, Ali Khomeini. Khomeini is his leader. He's a professor in Michigan, in Dearborn, and he says we're going to continue on his path. We're going to continue on Khomeini's path, which means what? The destruction of the United States. The enemy's here, America. They're here, and they're not making any secrets about it. And I want to thank our friends at Memory, MEMRI.org. You should bookmark it. These people are fantastic. They track down what's taking place. They have interpreters, put it in plain English. And they're the ones who found this. Hat tip to them. Cut 23, go.
The pure soul of Sayyid Ali Khamenei returned back to its Lord as a martyr, like Imam Hussein alayhi salam.
Okay, broken English, of course. But he's saying he's a martyr. Khomeini's a martyr. Like Imam Hussein. He's a martyr. Okay? This is a professor in Dearborn, Michigan. Go ahead.
His grandfathers and all of the prophets and the best of prophets, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his progeny.
Okay, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So he's joined Prophet Muhammad, has Ali Khomeini, the supreme dead terrorist who slaughtered so many people. I'm telling you, folks, eyes wide open now. Go ahead.
Alayhi salam. May Allah raise their ranks in paradise and shower them with mercy. However, Trump did a huge mistake by killing our beloved leader, Sayyid Ali Khamenei. He thought that by killing him, he's going to make the believers submit and make them hopeless.
No, that's not why we killed him. Or I think the Israelis killed him, but our CIA identified where he was. But it doesn't matter. He was killed because he was trying to kill us. Brainiac. Ali Akbar Shadid. Go ahead.
We're going to continue on the path of Sayyid Ali Khamenei.
All right, stop. We're going to continue the path of Khomeini. You got that, America? Now, this guy should be deported. If he's a naturalized citizen, they should go through the process of denaturalizing and kick his ass out of this country. Now, it's easy for me to say it. Is anybody doing it? Seriously. We are overwhelmed by a number of these people. We're not talking about people coming to this country who want to assimilate into it. These are hardcore jihadi Islamists. Hardcore jihadi Islamists, care types, Muslim Brotherhood types, and they are conquering us from within. They're strategically placing mosques and community centers in certain red states, especially, or even blue states, but in red congressional districts. They know that in some of these states and districts, it just takes a couple of percentage points one way or the other to throw the race to the Democrats. They are enveloping the Democrat Party, which uses them and needs them for money and votes because they are dumbasses in that party. And the fact of the matter is, when it's over, that party will be chewed up. They know that that party is a vessel through which to operate. Go ahead.
His ideology. We're going to learn it and teach it to our children.
Got that? He's a professor. We're going to learn it and teach it to our children. His ideology. His ideology. This is at Dearborn Henry Ford Community College. Go ahead. Unbelievable, is it not? Also in Dearborn Heights, we have a Shia Imam, Muhammad Ali Elahi. E-L-A-H-I. Excuse me, I don't have the language down. Imam Muhammad Ali Elahi. In Dearborn Heights, an imam. He eulogizes Khomeini. Hello. Cut 24, go.
So starting the illegal war, and then go and bomb the house of the leader of the country. Where is justification for this?
See, these are new immigrants here. Where is justification for this reason? I mean, that's a sort of a knucklehead way of putting it. These are all new entrants into the United States. Where's justification for this reason? He doesn't care that Khomeini slaughtered thousands and thousands of Muslims. He doesn't care. I don't care. I hate America and the West and Donald Trump, like our hero Tucker Carlson. Go ahead.
A reason for this at all. I know that you love to end this life this way, to be remembered forever and ever. That أشقى الأشقياء يعني قتلت بأيادي أشقى الأشقياء في العالم.
Say what?
That is an honor. That is a pleasure to be in paradise of Allah.
All right, thank you. Now leave my country. He should be deported. I'm not kidding. This man was the enemy of the United States of America, had blood on his hands from killing Americans, wanting to get nuclear warheads and nuclear missiles to shoot at our country. That's who he is. He, the Marxists and the Islamists, the Neo-Fascists, the woke right, a cabal that's going to sink this country if they can. If they can. This is the mindset. These are the people that the United States military and the Israeli IDF are trying to defend us from while they're under attack here at home by these fraudulent fools who claim to represent MAGA. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Well, it's been a long time. One of my favorite people, let alone favorite senators, Dave McCormack, family friend, and his beautiful wife and family. How are you, Dave?
I'm great, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. And the fact that our forces are on the move, and our forces with the Israelis are on the move, and the good guys are winning, at least right now, and I think they will in the end, is, I think, a spectacular thing. What do you think?
It's a profound moment. I want to start, Mark. First, thanks for having me. And, just reflecting, it's about 35 years ago that I was on the ground in Iraq in one of our earlier Middle East wars. And those 6 servicemen who lost their lives, just prayers for their families and, all the men and women out there defending us, fighting for freedom, fighting for our security. It's awesome to see. And what we've seen is the most spectacular military performance in the last 72 hours. You see this incredible coordination with Israel. You see more than 2,000 offensive missions that have taken out so much of the infrastructure, the intel that allowed us to take out 2 tiers of leadership. Just remarkable. And yet, early days. There's still much to be done to really defang what has been the bloodiest regime, blood on its hand, American blood, threatened the destruction of Israel, the United States. So this had to be done. We had to get rid of that missile capability. They were trying to restart their nuclear program. But I do think the president has done something that no other president has done in 50 years, which is shown the courage and the leadership to go out and really take down the biggest state sponsor of terror in decades and the biggest murder of Americans in 20 years.
And you put it so succinctly and persuasively, and we still have a lot of people, a lot of Democrats who are pretending they don't understand the imminent threat, they don't understand the mission, and the politics of this is pretty crude, don't you think?
Yeah, well, what I think affects this, and I'll say for me, Mark, I was 2002 February, about 24 years ago. There was some expectation that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. I wrote an op-ed. That I published in the Los Angeles Times, and the title of it was "Let's Roll Against Saddam Hussein." I mean, I was, Toby Keith booting his ass. I was, we got to go get these guys. And what followed was 20 years really of disaster, trillions of dollars, 5,000 lives. And I think we in America are scarred by that. And I think people are misunderstanding that that potential situation could happen here. I don't think that's true. I think what you see here is truly peace through strength, where the president is very surgically going in to destroy the capability, the missiles, the missile launchers, the manufacturing capabilities that supplied 57,000 drones to the Russians, the Navy that can block the Straits of Hormuz. And that lays the predicate for the Iranian people to really self-determine. And I think the president said very loud and clear that he's committed to no long-term foreign entanglement, even as we make this incredible investment in destroying a regime that is pure evil and that has killed Americans for decades.
Mm-hmm. Well, people don't discuss what would have happened or would happen if we didn't do this, Dave McCormack.
Right. Yeah, well, that's, better than anybody, but what's happening, Mark, is the Iranians were building missiles at a pace that far exceeded Israel's ability or the America's ability to build missile defense. And so the regional advantage was growing, and that was accelerating post the previous attacks on the Iranian nuclear capability. Second, despite their promises to the contrary, Iran was taking efforts to restart its nuclear programs. Mm-hmm. Third, it remained the sponsor of state terror, Hezbollah, Hamas. All the evil, all the killing that has taken place in the region over decades was funded by and supported by the Iranian regime. And then finally, they are the biggest supporters of Russia and Ukraine and the biggest supporters of oil for our number one adversary, China. So this is a regime that was pure evil. And to his credit, President Trump gave them every opportunity for off-ramps. I think he legitimately was hoping that the Iranians would come back and capitulate. Now, whether we could have trusted them or not remains to be seen, but I think he was open. Mm-hmm. He was open to that, and they gave him no alternative, and that's why I think this mission was both necessary but noble and just, and certainly constitutional. I think this is well within the president's constitutional authority, despite what so many Democrats are saying. By the way, these are Democrats that supported, in a number of cases, Obama's efforts in Libya, President Clinton's efforts in Kosovo, where those very same presidents used military force, military operations, just as President Trump is doing. So this is constitutional, it's necessary, and I support it for that reason.
Yeah, it's complete nonsense. It's constitutional, it's legal, and the War Powers Act in 1973, every president, believe it or not, has said it's actually unconstitutional. They haven't brought it to the Supreme Court. Congress hasn't challenged it in the Supreme Court when it hasn't been used to what they think the way it ought to be used, because both branches know that it's a shared responsibility. And so, but even under the War Powers Act, Senator, there's no question. They had the 48 hours to provide advice to the Big Eight. They've done it, and then 60 to 90 days to go. So what is all this yelling about unconstitutional? I don't even get it.
It's political theater. It is absolute political theater, because the alternative argument would be that we want to stand with the regime. We think the regime was not evil. We think the regime did not have American blood on its hands. We think the regime was not trying to restart its nuclear program. We think the regime did not have this overwhelming missile capability. No, that was a huge, huge issue, and they can't defend that. And so what they're saying is it's unconstitutional.
All right, Senator, can you stick with us one more segment, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Wonderful. We'll be right back with Pennsylvania Senator Dave McCormick, one of the best. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin, the thunder on the right. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
We're here with Senator Dave McCormick, Republican, Pennsylvania. Senator, Pennsylvania is a very patriotic state. It's a largely blue-collar, working man and working woman state, with obvious exceptions. But how do you think the people in Pennsylvania feel about this? I assume, obviously you're going to have detractors and so forth, but a cautious optimism, but they're going to back our president and our military in the middle of a war, I would think.
100%. Yeah, I think people recognize the president is leading us down a path where we're going to really make America safer, make our allies safer, make our troops in the region safer. And this isn't like a one-time thing. The Iranians have been, as we've talked about, killing Americans for years, back to the Lebanon, Beirut, barracks bombing, to the Cole, to all sorts of other things. This is the main killer of Americans, and poses a real threat, an ongoing threat to our troops in the region. And so that's number one. Number two, the president gave them every opportunity for an off-ramp, and they were obstinate and insisted on posing. And just imagine if we let them get a nuclear weapon, which is what they're pursuing. And then finally, you cannot look at that magnificent military, the way they conduct these operations, without an enormous sense of pride for the competence, the patriotism, the commitment of these young men and women. And I think most common sense Americans just swell up with pride when they see that these youngsters are willing to do everything that we ask of them to keep America America. So I think most people are with them for that reason.
Tell everybody a little bit, you touched on it, your service, the branch you served in, and when you served.
Well, I was in the 82nd Airborne Division, graduated from West Point, and went there as a young lieutenant, and we deployed to the Gulf for the first Gulf War, where it was this enormous buildup of capability, not unlike what President Trump has done, and a massive attack on Iraq and displacing Iraq out of Kuwait, and it was a fabulously successful mission, and then American forces withdrew. Some pros and cons with that, but it was by any measure a very successful operation. And this has some of the same similarities in that the president has created all sorts of military options by building up troops in the region. But what's different is 35 years later, the quality of this technology, the precision, the coordination with our partners in Israel is incredible. And now we see the coalition growing. Because Iran has isolated itself with its attacks on its Gulf neighbors. Even the Europeans, who were very, very tepid and disappointing, have started to come around. And so you feel the masterfulness of this military in action. And, I don't want to lead anyone to believe that we don't have a lot more work to do. But it's been a magnificent operation, and there's more to be done. But we have shown the unbelievable strength of the American military and the willingness of this president to use it very strategically and selectively to protect America.
Now, General Petraeus was asked about this the other day. He seemed to be very, very impressed because he said, it's a massive number of resources there, and the coordination and the speed with which the operation is taking place, the coordination with another military, the IDF and the Israelis. He said it's pretty exquisite. I take it you feel the same way.
Yeah. Absolutely magnificent. And I think there's a message here, which is, first of all, the president talks over and over again about peace. Peace is, every other sentence is about peace. This is in pursuit of peace. This is in pursuit of stability in a region that's been wrought with violence for decades, largely because of Iran. So that's the first thing. Second thing, if people haven't gotten the memo yet, this is a man, is our commander-in-chief, who really does what he says he's going to do. And so if you didn't believe it in Operation Midnight Hammer, and if you didn't believe it post-Venezuela, you should believe it now. that if the president says that America's interests are going to be acted upon with military force if necessary, everybody should perk up and listen. And I think that's sending a message to other adversaries around the world that America is willing to exercise its power on the world stage to protect America. And that's why when people say this isn't America first, I don't get it. This is promoting America's interests first. You can't name another country that's anywhere close to having killed as many Americans in the last 20 years as Iran. This is a country that has been at the scene of the crime in every terrorist attack, in all the violence in Iraq during that 20 years. Iran was behind much of that. And finally, there's a day of reckoning, and I think it's overdue.
What is it like, your Senator, your colleague Fetterman? What's it like working with him?
He is a good man. It's been a real surprise and a real pleasure. We don't agree on a lot of things. I mean, he's a liberal Democrat, progressive Democrat in many ways, but he's honest. He's forthright. He's courageous. He's willing to stand up against his party when he thinks they're down the wrong track, whether it's shutting down the government or whether it's supporting fracking or whether it's standing tall against anti-Semitism or whether it's standing with the president in his attack on Iran. He's someone that's a rare thing in Washington, which is if he tells you something, you can count on it. And so I feel lucky that he's there. As I said, we don't agree on everything, but we look for ways to serve Pennsylvania, and he's been a real pleasure to work with, and I admire him.
And, of course, the Democrats want to primary him and take him out.
Yeah. Well, there's a funny joke on this. He, a couple months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, there was this clear orchestrated attack in all the media. He's lost his cognitive abilities. He's straying. He doesn't know what he's doing. Some of it, unfortunately, was for people that were close to him, and nobody was defending him. And I sent him a text, and I said, "Hey, listen, you're getting killed here. I'd like to come out and defend you publicly. I'm afraid it might hurt you." He said, "Hey, listen, only in this crazy world, it might hurt you." And he said, "Listen, nobody else is defending me. Get out there." And so I came out and defended him, and some other Republicans came out and defended him, and then I think a couple sheepish Democrats, and the moment passed. But that's the crazy world we live in, where many in his own party have turned on him simply because he's had the courage to say what he believes, and that that's in short supply in Washington, and I appreciate him for that.
There used to be, I won't say an overwhelming majority, but there used to be a number of senators like that, 30, 40 years ago. Scoop Jacksons and Moynahans and not that long ago, Lieberman and so forth. There's a dearth of this now, isn't there?
There is, and I think he and I have talked about it. I don't want to speak for him, but I do think that near-death experience that he had, I think it's just he's lost the appetite for the silliness and the nastiness and the political theater, and I don't have much of an appetite for that either. And I think it's made us. We couldn't be more different. I tell the jokes that I'm the 54th elected senator from Pennsylvania, the 9th senator in the history of America from West Point, and I've got a title my 6 daughters would never have dreamed possible: the best dressed senator from Pennsylvania.
Ah.
And he always laughs about that. Even he agrees. So we look.
It is funny, and it's right.
We come from different parties, but we love Pennsylvania, and we want to be honest and forthright and fight for what we believe in. And when we can do that together, we always do.
Do you remember what town he's from, by the way? By the way, folks, I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember.
Braddock. He's lives in Braddock, right outside of Pittsburgh. He lives right next to a steel mill, and you can literally sit in his living room. I've been there and look across the street and see the steel mill at work. And I think it's one of the reasons he and I, one of the first things we did together was our support for Nippon U.S. Steel, which, was controversial, but it made all the difference. It really restored steel and next generation steelmaking in the Monongahela Valley. And, that was one of the people that I took to just show you how politics are changing. I took to the State of the Union with me, was the president of the United Steelworkers Local that that was represented in that plant, and so that was a big deal, and President Trump, was skeptical and listened and carefully said, okay, how can we make it better? And so we protected America's security and protected those jobs and really helped build the steel industry. And John Fetterman and I, that was the first time we got to work together, and it's been a good partnership ever since.
Well, while you're on this subject, the Philadelphia Naval Yard used to be one of the biggest shipbuilding places in the country. My father, as a young man, used to get a part-time job there, but a lot of the skills are lost now and so forth and so on. Are they bringing that back to life, do you know?
Man, Mark, it's so exciting what's happening there. So, that had pretty much withered, and it was producing about one ship a year. And what happened, Hanwha, which is a big Korean shipbuilding company, it was a disgrace what we let happen. But we have 30% of the global economy, and we have less than 1% of global shipbuilding. So we've let that industry fall away. Hanwha, which is a big Korean shipbuilding firm, bought the Philadelphia shipyard, and immediately, within 6 months of President Trump being in office, agreed to put $5 billion as a first investment into the Philadelphia shipyard and 5,000 new jobs. And these are welders and pipe fitters. These are great jobs, six-figure jobs that are going to be permanent. And there's more where that came from. We're going to go from one ship a year to 20. And so this is it's happening in Pennsylvania. We've got the Philadelphia shipyard, Westinghouse. Japan ordered $80 billion worth of new nuclear reactors. We had AWS, Amazon Web Services, announced $20 billion of new investments in data centers in Pennsylvania. We had last week Eli Lilly announced a $3.5 billion plant in the Lehigh Valley. This is 850, six-figure jobs. Pennsylvania is on fire, and you can connect a line through all these things. It's opportunity brought by new economic policy, new investment, pro-growth, jobs for working families, and I give President Trump energy dominance. I give President Trump a big round of applause for that, and people in Pennsylvania can feel it, and that's just one of the many exciting things I think we see in our country right now.
Well, you're a great senator. You haven't been there long, but you're very, very well liked, and I can see why, because our family really appreciates you folks, and best to your beautiful wife, and we'll talk another time.
Thank you, Mark. Best to you, and I'll say one word if I could in closing, which is I hope while we focus on what's going on overseas and pray with those men and women, I hope we can do the business of the Senate at home. And there's two things: one, Save America Act, which we gotta get moving on this thing and pass it. And we got to force the Democrats to say why they're not voting for it, and we got to get the government funded. This is a disgrace. The DHS funding, Department of Homeland Security. It's all political theater at a time when our risk at home from domestic terrorist attacks is growing. So thank you for the opportunity to be with you, and always great to be with a fellow Pennsylvanian. Thanks, Mark.
And by the way, you're right. This is crazy. And I would argue it's unpatriotic. Here we are in the middle of a military campaign against one of the worst terrorist regimes, and now all throughout the country, people are told to look over their shoulder all throughout the world, and the Democrats won't fund the department that's responsible for protecting this country. Anyway.
It's indefensible.
All right,
thanks,
Senator.
My friend. Always
God
good to
bless.
be with you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. He's a great guy. In person, public, he's the same guy. His wife, fantastic woman. Great. He's got 6 daughters. Fusion marriage, Mr. Producer. It's a lot of daughters in one house there. Well, they're not still there. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Let us go to Harriet, Brooklyn, New York. How are you, Harriet?
It's a pleasure speaking with you. I wish you had been my constitutional law professor in Brooklyn College in '67.
Well, thank you. I would have been 10 years old. That's the only problem. What's that?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Mark, we got a problem in New York City. And his name is Mandani. And
yes,
I believe he is in it. When he gives his faith breakfast, This guy is an imam, and he is in the catbird seat of New York City, the mayoral office. He wants to control the means of production and all this. He's creating an Islamic state in New York, and
in some ways, he is.
It's like it's a vector, like create a mosquito that spreads out malaria to all the different points of the compass in the United States of America. You've got it in Texas, you've got it in Michigan, as you said.
Yep.
You've got it in Virginia,
New York, New Jersey, Virginia. You're right.
Yeah, Ohio. Yeah. I mean, and someone has got to, when he at one point, the defense.
See, here's part of the problem. Part of the problem is zoning is all local. And they know this, so they're working from the bottom out. They know that zoning is a disparate issue. They've got a strategy. It's a national strategy. So a president can't just put his foot down. It's going to take governors, and it's going to take county commissioners. It's going to take, local boards of whatever it is in your community to fight them on zoning grounds, and most of them are cowards. And so the public needs to find out what's going on and turn out in their communities and fight this. And fight it. And there can be state laws to limit this stuff, too. These are segregated, self-contained, Islamist societies teaching Sharia law. That is exactly what that so-called professor in Dearborn, Michigan was preaching. And they support, not all of them, obviously, I'm talking about these jihadi Islamists, Khomeini, right here in our own country. Thank you, Harriet. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers, the men and women in Ukraine, the men and women in Iran, the men and women in Israel, and you, the men and women of the United States of America. God bless each and every one of you. See you tomorrow.